Hey everyone, this is Kumaran speaking. Welcome back to the cinematic journey of Thalapathy Vijay. So this is part 2. So we are going to cover up Thalapathy Vijay's career from 2003 to 2012. So basically, Tirumalai to Tupaki. A phase that is very, very interesting for all of us as Vijay fans because we all grew up during that period and we pretty much became his biggest fans during that era. So we call it his action heroism era. I want to start with, how do you see Vijay's transformation from the romantic Vijay that we once fell in love during the 90s to 2003 when he did Tirumalai Ghilli?
So it's like when you see your baby cousin from baby to big, right? You still can accept the fact, oh, he's a big guy now. And then it takes a while for you to get used to it. Likewise, it's the same thing here. But like for me, is that I got exposed to him post Tirumala, like Pokkiri. But when I saw his older movies, 90s movies, it took a while for me to get convinced that, oh, he was a romantic hero back then, because I was introduced to action hero Vijay from 2003. Like, yeah, he chose good commercial entertainers like Tirumala, Ghilli, Tirupati, Sivakasi, even Pokkiri. Despite it's a remake, he reached amongst the youngsters. So I felt that this whole 2000s phase was like when he was trying to reach the youngsters. So like, okay, he got the common audience now, the family audience. Now it's to get the youngsters. I felt youngsters and the kids that time, and
like because the kids, like because his transformation wasn't in, like it seems easy to see, like, you know, it was one film that transformed everything. His first major transformation into the action zone was Bhagavati, but Bhagavati wasn't a big hit.
I think like the transformation is because like in Tirumala he has also a bit of a character. Like he has more like a rock in a city, but like he's not a rock like he will murder people. Like he's like a known, like he can talk. He's really talkative and really
like a cool guy, like a swag.
Yeah. Like with a swag. And in his previous movies, he doesn't have a swag. He's more a soft kind of type. And I think that transformation with action and that mix, I think that was the bomb that everyone was like, wow. And I think that was also one of the things that helped Vijay in that transformation, because you can also see like something from Vijay still in him.
Yeah.
Yes. And especially what I think like when he began, the whole cinema was only with like romantic movies, and when Tirumala came in, the whole cinema was like turning into the actions, and that was like also one of the things that I think that Thalapathy and Tirumala made it more special, because he had some two different things.
Yeah, because like the market also started to change. Like there were more action mass masala movies, and these major stars had to like adapt to it, like had to update themselves, upgrade themselves.
Yes.
Like Ajit did well with Dina, and I'm sure like all the other actors did so.
Yeah.
Post Baba, Rajini like wasn't really active, so it was a zone for them to level up. And I think Vijay used it really well.
Yes.
With Tirumala.
Yeah. So I felt like yeah, I think in like 1996 and beyond, like he had the family orientation. He also had the comedic timing and the charisma. So I think, you know, with having that little bit of flavor in his character with his dance, his charisma, his comedic timing, like in the late 90s and early 2000s, you know, that led up to him. Like all he needed after that was just the mass element of like, you know, being able to like, you know, do the action stuff, the fight, and be more serious. So I think, you know, him, you know, having his 90s type of thing that lasted for a little bit more longer time, I think it helped him to be a more well-rounded mass hero that, you know, when you see any movie, you know, you'll get a nice laugh out of him. You know, you'll feel like, you know, he flirts, you know, very well with the heroine. Him and the comedian work really well. He can make himself look funny. And at the same time, you know, he added that masculine element. He can get serious when he needs to get serious.
Honestly, how I see Vijay's transformation is like in the 90s, he was the, sweet lover boy. That's how we see him. And then Tirumale gave him again, as Rahul said, gave Vijay the chance to be a really well-rounded star. So, I mean, he was good with romance, comedy, action, dancing. I mean, give him all the skills. He excelled at it, and Tirumale was that break for him. And then you can also see those same talents in, say, Ghilli, Sachin, Pokkiri. So this phase really, I guess, worked out for him well and was great for the audiences too, because I mean, for those who like action, there's action in Tirumale. For those who love romance, there's the track with him and Jyotika, and that's there with everything. Like, Ghilli, it's him and Trisha, and then Pokkiri, him and Asin. So, I mean, in these movies, there was something for everybody to enjoy. So I feel like this transformation also grew his fan base. That's what I think.
Yeah, a lot. Especially with Ghilli, I'm sure like Ghilli expanded his market and his fan base. How do you see Ghilli played in his career?
So first of all, like I want to start from Tirumale, and then like Ghilli came after, right? So Tirumale, I think was interesting because I think for the first time in his career, the role that he played also was a little bit different. He's played like kind of like, we're talking about the romance, action, and all that stuff combined. And there are movies like Ghilli that had that, Pokkiri that had that. But Tirumale was the first time where like he had to be this really rugged, straight out of the streets of Chennai without any sort of family connection and whatnot. So I think it asked him to be a different personality. And I think that's the first time he discovered that personality on screen. Because if you watch a movie, like the way he speaks, even at Raghuvaran, his interactions with Kausalya, like he's younger, but maybe like Ningava, and like it's a different dimension that he was more of a softer, like the roles that he played more like college student, this type of stuff. But this is like, straight out of like, streets. So I think the role required that. And then when he played that, I think that fed into a little bit, he was more confident in his roles going forward. And I think Ghilli was the next movie. And the one thing I want to highlight about Ghilli, the thing I like about the movie so much is one of the other, things that he was tagged with in his career was, he just takes movies and remakes them. And Ghilli was a remake movie. But then if you watch the original and you watch Vijay, like the Vijay that we get in Ghilli is not like anything that you see in that initial movie. It's not like anything else that we've seen in his career. And in that movie, he has chemistry with his mom, with his sister, with Trisha, with the villain, like the exchange between Prakash Raj and him, like that. And then like, he has a couple of friends and so forth. But my thing with Ghilli, the reason I'll say Ghilli is probably his best comedic movie is he did not have a heavyweight like Vivek, Vadivel, or anyone in that movie. He carried the comedy in that movie.
Yeah, right.
Previous movies, like even if you go to Tirumale and stuff, like Vivek's there, Bhagwati, he had that whole comedy combo with like Chinna Bhagwati being Vadivel. Ghilli was the first time in his career where like he was it. He was the comedy. Like, because of Vijay. Full-fledged. So that's
I actually also have to say that for Pokkiri, because though he did have Vadivel with him, I feel like even Vijay had his fair share of, comedy scenes as well, which I can't see as much in the original. But yeah.
I think I'll start with Ghilli because like that like, he carried that movie comedically, and then that led into such
a that was single-handedly him, yeah.
So that's what I think for Vijay kind of propelled. That's how Ghilli propelled him. Obviously, the action was great and stuff, but then, like, for him, that took a new step. And for me, the movie's special because of Saranavelu, the character, that kid. So Ghilli always be a special movie.
Yeah, when you look at, like, his action phase, so that was probably Tirumale and onwards, you could definitely see that, like, the type of characters he is playing, from Tirumale onwards is more charismatic, confident, witty. Yeah, and then also comedic as well, like many have said. Um, and I also got more attached to that Vijay. And looking at like the Vijay before in the '90s, like as the lover boy, um, I guess in some of his movies in the '90s, he was very innocent. It's a little bit it's kind of jarring when you compare. Like the characters that Vijay played in the '90s versus from Tirumala onwards. And I think a good example of this is like this movie isn't from the '90s, but it's pre-action hero. If you compare Sachin with Kushi, both movies actually have a similar story, but if you look at the characters that Vijay plays, they're vastly different. Like Sachin comes off as this guy that's confident and charismatic, and then puts Vadivelu in the ringer for comedy as well, right? But when you look at Kushi, he seems a little bit stiff, a little bit, I don't know if I want to say innocent, but I don't know the correct word, but he's definitely a little bit, I guess, maybe more human or more. He's just not Sachin, basically.
Yeah, he's
Kushi,
like
right?
vulnerable.
Vulnerable. There you go. Yeah, he's a lot more vulnerable. It kind of goes to show like how Vijay has changed. And another thing that I don't know if anybody has mentioned this, but another thing I noticed about pre-action Vijay to post-action Vijay, compared to post-action Vijay, is his facial hair change. Before his action phase, basically, I think like a lot of men back in the day, they just had like the mustache, no beard, right?
Yeah, true.
And post action phase, like he trimmed like his facial hair and everything, and it made him actually look younger, and I guess appealed to maybe the younger audience.
I can promise you his younger female audience also grew during this phase with the facial hair change and everything.
I believe
Like, it was definitely a really fresh look for him at the time.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
He looked much swagger.
Yeah.
And
Like I always preferred that look over his 90s.
yeah, true.
Yeah.
Oh, I think Ghilli, it's because, okay, let's forget the fact it's a remake. I don't want to get into that topic. So I think them getting that story, changing it up a bit, tight storytelling, tight screenplay, fun characters, and foot tapping songs by Vidyasagar. I think because Ghilli worked because of chemistry of Vijay Trisha, Vijay with the other actors, and then also Prakash Raj, him being that comedic villain, kind of that comedic villain. At the same time, he was a bit serious, and he had everything like action Venamadi irukke, romance Venamadi irukke, songs Venamadi irukke. So I guess because of those elements, Ghilli worked.
After Ghilli, we got Madurai, that not many people talk about. Like, it's also an action film, it's also a mass film, but I want to hear if you had the chance to watch that film and what do you...
I've seen, many times.
But was it to the
I
standards?
technically only know the songs from Madurai.
Yeah,
I
same.
barely remember it, so counts for a rewatch, but yeah.
But do you think it was up to the standards of Vijay's usual film, or like Ghilli, let's say, Ghilli or Tirmalai?
No, I feel like something was missing. I don't know. Like I want to know like what went wrong in the movie because I was too young when I saw the film.
Okay.
So like I don't know exactly what went wrong.
It just wasn't fresh.
I see.
The story was predictable. The Vijay that we got on screen was predictable. There was nothing. There was no new element to it.
I see.
I think like with a Ghilli, what you got this guy who is just a kid going to play kabaddi, and then like he brings his girl, and then he doesn't go save like a girl that he loves or anything, but then like through the course of it, he's just trying to get her out. But then how he develops feelings is like more dynamic. There's different layers, right? A different approach to that. Mother had nothing like that. It was just this guy.
That was plain. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a collector undercover. He's taking out a villain. That's it.
Yeah, true.
If I have to be honest, like when I watched Madura, I actually liked the movie Madura because it has like because when you watched it in the first, like you did not knew what Madura was. Like he is Madura, but like you did not know the backstory. And when you know the backstory, like he cared about Sushila, and he also cared about the family of her. But he also wanted to change what was happening before he was Madura. So I think like it is like somehow bland like in story, but I think it has
potential.
It has potential because I think
true.
Like it went unnoticed, but I think that if it went like if people notice it more, like it would have gotten more attention about the movie.
Well, I felt it was more like a Basha.
Yes, and that's what I was going to say. I guess you kind of see like the perspective of you see where everyone started becoming a Vijay fan because like Madurai, like by the time that came out, if you're a little bit younger, that's like one of the first times you're seeing these type of movies. Yes, it makes sense, but then like Kumaran said, having seen Bacha before, having seen like some of these other movies, you kind of knew if you had seen those movies, you kind of knew what's going to happen.
Yeah, because Bacha.
We watched a lot of like Vijay movies before watching like the classic ones.
Yes.
Watching Madura and all the flop movies of Vijay were our first Tamil movies, which at that time it made sense. And
I understand.
And now watching like the classic movies, you kind of see the same kind of story.
After Madurai, he did Tirupati, Sivakasi, Pokkiri, like 3 massive action films. So how do you see those films mold Vijay's image later on?
So I feel like those movies is just like just to give more impact to the youngsters. Like, hey, look, I'm a big star. Please watch my movies. But like, yeah, those movies, it shaped his career. And then like for audience view, they'll be like, oh, okay, he may be like he may be like the next big thing for Tamil cinema.
Yeah. So in Tamil, they say right, Nakul Noyandi. So like the thing is like with Sivakasi, you saw a little bit of that. So Sivakasi, the way I look at it is when I go back to rewatch a movie, I don't watch the first half. Like I watch the first time, I don't have to watch the first half again. Like it's not the part of the movie I enjoy. But once he decides to go back to his hometown and he finds out the situation that's going on, his interaction with Prakash Raj like that. Like that delivery and everything like added on to that dimension of like it was not just like a very serious villain or hero like interaction. It was also the way he did it was like very like
hilarious,
like teasing the guy, like
like kind of Ghilli.
Like it's like okay, he kind of messes with his mind and a little bit and stuff like that.
True.
And that was a nice little dynamic. Pokkiri, like again, Pokkiri was predictable. I think like we all knew he's going to be a cop at the end of it. But then again, like
I did not.
That face, like dialogue delivery, like some of the jokes that he delivers, like it was good. It was different. It was like you have stone face, but then the dialogue delivery is what the
yeah. Like he had a good mannerism in that film. Like I liked the way he carried himself throughout.
I
actually love that in this phase of his career, he has a lot of like memorable punch dialogues.
Yeah,
like starting with Tirumala, the Varkar Vattam, or in Ghilli, the in the area, that, and also I think Pokkiri with there's a couple. Nee Padacha School and our headmaster.
Oh, right.
I love all of these. So I mean, like I think this phase was great for the younger
Audience, yeah.
Because I'm like the impact it had on them, after the movie releases, everyone is like everyone is repeating these dialogues to each other. They use it in conversation. So
I kind of really started adoring Vijay after actually Tirupati. That was I think the film that really made me into a Vijay fan. And then Sivakasi was good, but that was another family drama. But I think Pokkiri was a really big hit, right? And I'm kind of surprised. I guess a lot of you saw him being the undercover cop coming, because to be honest, maybe it's just because I was young back then and I hadn't seen that many movies with that trope. But to me, when he was revealed the undercover cop, it was one of the coolest plot twists I've ever witnessed.
Yeah, I
at
agree
that
with
time.
that.
And by the way, that twist can never really catch me by surprise ever again, I don't think, unfortunately. Prakash Raj's character, villain, he wasn't that intimidating at all. Because Vijay really played this Sigma character, I don't give two F's about what you think, or he displayed a whole lot of
he's not scared of anything.
He's not scared. He's not scared of anything. Yeah, and it's every time Vijay was on screen alongside Prakash Raj or something, you're oh, you just kind of sit back and relax because Vijay is what is it, Thumber, or Vijay's character has everything under control. And I think the movies afterwards, I think Vijay also stuck with that trope in his movies, or I don't know if the director stuck with that trope or whatever. But you could see you weren't really intimidated by the villains because you're oh, Vijay's there, he's got it all in control.
But I think it's something that we saw right after Tirumalai Ghilli, he started to get that image,
Well, actually, no. So after Tirumalai, he had that image. Watching Ghilli, actually, we were still intimidated by Muthupandi, right? I don't think Vijay's character in Ghilli really had things under control. He had the confidence to deal with things in that movie, his character, but he was always on his toes, always, in a
hurry.
In a hurry, yeah. And, even if things he didn't expect, there are moments in that movie where Sarvanavelu didn't expect things, but had the confidence to go deal with that. But in Pokkiri, Vijay's character seemed he was always 2 steps ahead, or not 2 steps ahead, but he just didn't have fear. He didn't, express fear. But yeah.
Yeah, I think Ghilli also in Ghilli it's more so he got involved with something. The train has left the station. Now you just have to go with it. I think the get go, he's okay, I'm ready for anything. So
yeah,
that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
But actually, then Kumaran, I guess in Tirupati and Sivakasi, he did also have that same image that he has, I guess in Pokkiri a little bit. But
yeah, because the thing is, it's kind of in Sandakoli. In Sandakoli, right at the interval, the villain gets beaten up. So we are not okay. Yes, we are thrilled to see what the villain's going to do right after, but we know that the hero is able to beat him up once again if they face off.
Yeah.
Right, that's what happened with Ghilli made that really well. They well packed it up with good scenes. They wrote it really well. But right after with Tirupati or Sivakasi, let's take Tirupati had a lot of villains, but I'm not sure if they had all that. Well, they weren't intimidating, even though they had a single scene proving up that they are they're thugs.
Yeah, exactly.
Muthupandi, he had that thing where he used to do the thing to your arm,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
and stuff. So
Barmakalai.
like you through the course of the movie, he has that in his toolbox. So it's like how, and then like how Vijay comes out of that becomes one of the most iconic, like not believable, but then one of the most iconic scenes in his whole career, right? So like that is there. Like Thalapathy had something that was like almost like a secret weapon that you knew in the back because they introduced it. They showed a couple of times, so you know he's going to do it. What is Vijay going to do? But then like in Tirupati, like it's just about him getting to the point and beating them up. But his performance in Tirupati was epic.
Though, especially in Tirupati, the scene with the first villain, Patasu Bala, where
Oh yes.
like how he's like, oh, like, you know, this guy like beat me up, everything, he's all scared, you know, and then you just get that infamous transformation scene. I think that that was the scene that really got me hooked onto Vijay is as a, you know, a character.
Yeah, I understand. I get that feeling. I still get chills when I see that scene.
Yeah. But yeah.
Like with Tirupati, Sivakasi, and Pokkiri, like if you're gonna like, you know, compare to each other, like with Sivakasi and Tirupati, he had also one thing that made him
A household name.
kind of weak. Like he had something like he was okay. He was kind of confident and stuff, but there's one thing that made him a little bit weak. But like with Pokkiri, he had nothing that made him weak. He had just confidence.
Yeah.
And before Pokkiri, he did not have any characters that was like Pokkiri. Like he was only dogged, and it was not like, oh, there's one sentimental thing for Pokkiri. And I think that was also the change that that made Pokkiri much seem like, oh, he can only be like this, and not just one sentimental scene like in Sivakasi and Tirupati.
And also for us, when we watched Pokkiri, we also didn't know he was the secret cop.
Yeah, I was gonna add. A lot of people, you know, talked about him being overly confident in Pokkiri. That's also a number of movies after that too. I was gonna ask, like, you know, what do you guys feel about him being overconfident and, you know, not really seeing a lot of vulnerabilities and maybe also being like very nonchalant and stuff? 'Cause I know a lot of people, you know, especially my parents, you know, they'll feel like, oh, he doesn't have much emotions, you know, or he doesn't cry or doesn't get into those feelings because he's overly confident, and they feel like it's a drawback to like his character or his acting skills that he's just always so confident, always like, you know, seems like he's going to prevail. And, you know, a lot of people think that he doesn't have any other emotions outside of being confident.
But I wanted to add one thing. It's maybe you can add up to that. Vijay, let's take like Tirupati, Sivakasi. At least there's a scene where Vijay, like we see the emotional side of Vijay. Like in Tirupati, we know like the first half establishes his bonding with his sister. Like we know how vulnerable he is in that aspect, how he takes cares of his sister, how he loves her. The same thing goes in Sivakasi. Maybe didn't cover that much because they had to went through the flashback later on. But I think they established that really well, so that his character connects with the audience. He will be seen as a relatable a family star. You know, someone who is part of our family.
Yes, because of that, because what you said, like it was like seen as a family man. I'm not saying like it's wrong, but because of that, like the switch for Pokkiri, like he's there with not those scenes that made, I think, Pokkiri stand more out.
Mm-hmm.
And like someone also said, like he didn't really had any emotions. Like his dialogue there, the delivery was like the highlight of Pokkiri. That's also what I agree with, because we haven't really seen that kind of character in Vijay's movies at all. So it changed, I think.
I actually wanted to add that during this phase of his career, I love that all of his characters in the movie had a point of weakness. So, like in Pokkiri, when his father dies and he finds that out, you know, that's his moment of weakness and vulnerability. Or like even in Ghilli, when he's initially defeated by Muthupandi. He'll eventually get up. But I mean, there was that moment where everybody was like, oh no, it's done.
Yeah.
You know? So I feel like I like this part of his career where it's like they show moments in which he's not as strong as we perceive him or he was throughout the movie. There's that moment where like you think it's gonna go down, but then he'll eventually get up. So I mean, it's that I feel like maintains the thrill. It keeps us glued to our seat. We want to see what happens next. Like, is it over? Does he gain a strength back like that?
Wanted to also add about another action film that fell unnoticed and that failed. Adi. It's also an important film, I guess, in his career because I feel that film was, well, first of all, was really violent, but also it had Vijay really, Vijay was super mass in that film. Like the scene where he confronts RDX.
Now what that?
Yeah, like he was such a blast in that scene.
That movie was so good, actually.
Yeah.
Like it has
really
every element into it.
Yeah, I remember.
Actually, even that one shows a lot of vulnerability in this character because it's like he's lost so much. He's lost major parts of his family because of this one villain and how he's going to fight back and.
And one thing to add, like what I really liked about Adi too is like that, without saying that, like at the end of the day, like Trisha and Vijay, like they were meant for it, like how they connected and written, like how those two characters at the end of the day came together, even at a lot of things happened in between them. I think that is also one of the beautiful portions that they made into the movie. Like it was really like, I don't know how to explain it, but like it was really smooth. Like everything had a reason why it is going like this.
It falls in place properly.
Yes, that's one of the things also that.
And Trisha had also like a good character, not just a heroine that just pops up and is the love interest, but she had also like the villain, the way she kills the villain in the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, true.
Which kind of shocks everyone. But
she had a purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like with Adi, I think I watched Adi after Pokkiri. Like I didn't even know Adi really existed in between Sivakasi and Pokkiri. And I quickly realized, or not quickly, but I realized why while watching that movie because of how violent it was. That's why my parents never showed me that. Like I still remember like the scene in the interval when he chops the guy's head off.
Yeah.
It was pretty violent as a kid. It was I was like, what the hell? But I thought like that movie, looking back, it's pretty good, and he was a complete badass in that movie, especially that scene where he's like, I got nothing to lose, like now what then don't, like, that whole punch dialogue he gives is pretty badass.
No, he was
and even in the first half, how he presents himself, and what is it, that scene where there's that one college professor who's perverted, was taking photos without consent, and he like that whole scene where he exposes that, and stuff like that. Like he comes off as confident, and I think like speaking to the vulnerability, like Shobitha had said about how he thinks that he's got nothing to lose, because all his family members are dead. But then throughout the movie, like we actually, did we know that Trisha and Nasser were part of his family? But it's just that Vijay didn't know and Trisha didn't know? Or like, did we find that out at the same time as Vijay and Trisha?
I think we find that out at some point.
Yeah. No, we actually know that.
Oh, we actually know that.
Not related.
I don't remember. I feel like there was a twist at some point, but
when they showed like the flashbacks, then you saw Nasser and stuff. Then, like what Shobitha said, then afterwards you saw the twist. But you already could have seen Nasser already in the flashbacks.
Yeah. But I definitely Yeah, it's just that, when when he realizes that, oh wait, Trisha and Nasr is family too, he realized, okay, wait, I do actually have something to lose. And then that's when there's like conflict that arises.
At that time, I think Adi was set up to fail from the get go because if you look at the previous year, he had 4 movies, and those 4 movies were Tirupati for Pongal, New Year's Sachin going up against Chandramukhi, and in Diwali he had Sivakasi. So he had this 1 year of like, I mean, even Sachin, even though like it released the same time as Chandramukhi, it still had its space, which was like a big deal. And in between, he did this guest role in Shukran. So he had probably until that point in his career, by far the most successful year. And then when Adi started, like when the ramping up to Adi releasing began, there was all this hype about, oh, Trisha, Prakash Raj, and Vijay back together after Ghilli. Vijay Sagar is back on. And it was also Vijay's home production. So, like, there was just an enormous amount of hype going into that movie. And I think even if the movie was any better, like, it would still fail just because this is one of the scenarios where the hype was just too heavy. And I don't think any sort of movie could have delivered after the year that he had going into it. That was my opinion. I don't think I have anything particularly negative to say about Adi. I think if it had released at any other time in his career, it would have seen a little bit more success. I think just the timing of it coming off on the heels of Tirupati, Sachin, and Sivakasi, I think it's just there was too much hype built up to it.
Just curious, Adi, I know that that was also one of the movies that was a Telugu remake. In the Telugu industry, did that movie do well?
Yeah, it did really well
like
in
the Telugu version. Okay.
What was the Telugu version? Of Adi?
Something.
Adirenki Daredi? Or
Okay.
Atanaya
no, I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
But speaking of which, I have to speak about this film. I'm sure like a lot of fans right here, like even Shobitha spoke about this, Asmitha, everyone like pretty much loved this film as Sachin. Sachin recently crossed 20 years and got re-released. So it came in between of his action oriented films. So he was an action hero. He's doing big bangers. So do you think Sachin was a right move at that time? And how do you see Sachin in his career?
I think it was a good choice to do the movie Sachin because at that time, I think like every actor did an action movie. So I think like when for both some actor like for like now Vijay like choose Sachin to be like a nunchak character and be a boy next door kind of type. I think that was a refreshing moment. Like, oh, he can also do this kind of movies in a time where a lot of action movies came. And I think that's for Vijay's career. I think that is one of the greatest choice. I don't know why, but what is the reason why? But I think that's a good choice that he did because he did a different kind of character at that time.
I really enjoyed it. Watching Vijay play a boy next door was just refreshing. It was just nice, like the fun side and the way he just and his character was just amazing. And it wasn't too much of action or stuff. It was nice to see how he fights like Charlie's ego, and I really liked it.
I honestly think, considering the movies that were coming out at that time, Sachin, I think you could say it was a risk because other than that one action sequence, right, there's really no other such scenes in the movie. It's almost a out and out romantic film, right? So I feel like, I don't know, was he feeling nostalgic? Maybe because he used to play roles like that before. And then I guess now with the whole new look, came back to do at least one romantic film. And then I guess we got Sachin like that.
Oh, okay. So Sachin, you were asking about the timing, right, Kumaran? Like whether at that time,
Yeah.
So I mean, like obviously, like only people close to him can actually know the answer. I kind of wonder because Baba was a failure, and then Rajinikanth went MIA for a bit. And when he went MIA, when that vacuum was created, Vijay was able to release like a Tirumala and Ghilli and all that stuff and everything. And then, Tirupati. When Rajinikanth was doing Chandramukhi and like we knew like a year out. And at this time, Vijay was like shooting movies like 3-4 months before it's supposed to be released, right? He's shooting like 3-4 movies a year. So like knowing that and knowing the time frame of like Rajinikanth coming back, I wonder if like Vijay felt like this would be a good nuance to step away from that mass role with this guy coming back, not knowing how it's going to go, and that's why he chose to do Sachin. But like Shobitha said, I think it was a risk at that juncture in his career because I think he carved out a niche for himself. I think he had built a fan following, and I think Sachin will go down. Every actor has one of those movies which did not do well when it came out, but he'll be remembered for it like later on, right? Like an Anbe Shivam for Kamal Hassan or some like K-Ram. I think Sachin will always be one of those movies for Vijay, or like D1 movie for Vijay where like it wasn't appreciated at the time, but then it's one of those movies that you'll always go back and watch. With the exceptions, obviously, it had some shortcomings because of the time period that it was shot in that we wouldn't do today. I think we touched on that a little bit earlier, but like I think it's a cult classic, especially in the romance arena. And I think it was Ashwin who compared that Vijay to the Kushi Vijay. Parallels. I think this was like that on steroids. What Vijay's in such probably like, and at that time, no other actor could have pulled off that role. The charisma, the comedy, and the romance at the level that comes out in a movie. Even like, Vadi will come in and be like, time pagati. Say, and like, like that casual like delivery, but also his chemistry with Janelia, right? The one difference I will say is I think Jyotika and Kushi had a better written like role into the script. I think that character was
agree with that.
It was definitely stronger. Janelia was a little bit more of just kind of a add-on to Vijay's romance. But I think Vijay's part, I think he was just on steroids that movie, and it'll always be remembered retrospectively. I think the timing was bad. But it's okay. I think he survived.
I don't think that that would be a reason for Vijay to do a different kind of movie because Rajini and Kamal came back. I think that or because it was always action, he just wanted to do something different. But I personally don't think that it's because of Rajini Kamal coming back into the cinema. I don't think that that's why he chose Sachin. Because if he would have done a movie that would have been popped more out, then that would not be a romantic kind of movie that he did years back also. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that is the reason why he chose Sachin.
No, just like in the sense of like a change in flavor, right? If you know something similar to you might be releasing, like you're going to, the way you stand out is you release something different. And we're talking about Adi, right? That release date also is problematic. Because I forgot what the Ajit movie that came out.
Paramasivan.
Paramasivam. So Paramasivam, Adi, and Saravanan by Sindhu came out.
Oh, yeah.
If you look at it, they're all like similar action movies. It's like watch one, you go to the next one, you go to the next one. It's like watching the same movie with different actors. So I think that was also, it might have been calculated to be like, okay, I want to throw in like a romantic movie. This is the right time to do it because of the date that is releasing in, just for like a change of flavor. I'm not trying to say that he was startled by like the Rajinikanth or Kamal Hassan necessarily, but at the same time, like I think he's always kind of kept to his own genre and stayed away from what other people are doing at that time. From Ajit, not so much Ajit, but Vikram Surya especially.
After Pokkiri, we know what happened. It's an important phase that I want to cover up as well. After Pokkiri, from Alage Tamil Magan to Sura, Vijay's career phase saw a decline, a major decline. So, what do you think that made Vijay fail during that era with films like Alage Tamil Magan, Kuruvi, Villu, Vetakaran, and Sura?
I think it was just after Pokkiri. It was a bit of, personally, I feel like it was a bit of repetitiveness.
Yes.
Now, like when you look at like ATM Argia Tamarmagan, I remember I saw like a clip of an interview before that movie came out. Was making the rounds on Instagram and stuff. Where Vijay said how, when this interview happened when they were shooting ATM, and he said how he wanted ATM to be better than Pokkiri. And I think on paper, that concept that was an ATM was new, but I just don't think that like in execution it worked out the way it was planned. And I think that movie I think it was just a bit problematic. But then when you fast forward to the next movie, Kuruvi, right? I remember as a kid, I really wanted to watch that movie, and that movie wasn't also. I don't think it was the best advertised either. I don't think like it had the hype. It just kind of felt like a sort of silent release or something, and that movie had the same tropes as all of the other Mass Masala movies, right? There was some repetition with that, and then Villa, like, I think like basically ATM through Villa was repetitive. Vertikaran, I think just was. It had hype, I remember, but it just, was also a repetitive-ish movie. Don't even get me started on Sura. It's just, look, I'm sorry, Vijay, but it's your 50th film. You could have chosen better. Sura was just it was, a typical Mass Masala movie.
Personally,
Sure.
I feel like Alage Tamil Magad was kind of different.
I think, like I said, I think that film, the concept was good, but it was just the execution.
Yeah, because seeing Vijay as an antagonist in that film was really, really cool. Like, it was really nice. I think the problem, like you said, I feel the second half had a lot of lags, especially where the confrontation scenes weren't really impactful. Like, they just went out to do like really cliche trope, and I felt like it wasn't really intense. Didn't live up to the hype that they created before.
I think my issue with Arge Tamil Magan was like the ending. I feel like they rushed it. Like it just doesn't seem that believable to me. I feel like I feel like they could have worked more on that, because it was just like I feel like it was just like Shreya suddenly said some monologue, and then suddenly he's like, okay, I'm not that bad. And then, this sudden realization
really
to him.
But he actually really bad. That's it.
He was, I know. But like, yeah. But I'm like, it was just like her one dialogue apparently just changes everything for him.
Yeah,
I was like, you could have worked more on that, I feel like that's the thing. And then
Kuruvi Ville
I don't even remember Vetikaran as much.
Oh, really?
I can't remember. I mean, other than the songs, I can't remember.
But I think Kuruvi and Ville didn't are not often broadcast on any TVs, I guess. Maybe Kuruvi on
Villa, I think I saw it.
The first movie that Sun Pictures did?
No, it's Red Giant.
Red Giant.
Yeah. Actually, Udayanidhi said that Kuruvi is not like a flop venture. He made some money.
Yeah, but to be honest, that film, honestly, for me, I feel that film had a really good comedy with Vivek.
Yeah,
it did. It was funny. Like, I mean, I like watching. It's like a guilty pleasure for me. Villa are like guilty pleasures for me.
I remember with Kuruvi when I was like in the 6th grade. I actually remember I really liked that movie, and even though it was like just another Mass Masala movie, but I remember in the 6th grade I used to secretly watch that all the time. And then my mom saw me, and then I guess one time when in 6th grade when I wasn't doing well in school or something, my mom brought it up to my dad, like, hey, he keeps watching Puri all the time. I just never watched that movie again.
Yeah, but I mean, like, again, taking the time period into context as well, I think the Tamil cinema in general, I think, started making a shift towards different type of movies. If you look at 2007, I think Shivaji halfway through the year was a big bang, and then after that, like later on in the year, I mean, early part, like around that period, like even I think Ajit had Kiridam, and like that was a flop. There was a lot of movies that came in 2007 that were a flop, and towards the end of 2007, like Ajit came up with a very different, like a Billa remake, which kind of went away from like the mass as we knew it, and then you started getting Dasavadaram. I think 2007 is also when we got Poladavan with
Chennai 28.
Chennai 28. So the cinema in general started turning away, and then Dasavadaram the next year, and you started seeing movies like Paya, and then not Vorkal Vorkanadi, Sivamansikul Sakti, like romantic. So we started trending that way in 2008 and 2009 and so forth, and like the Vijay movies that are coming in that period, though like individually taken out, if you go back and watch it now, you'd be able to enjoy it as a Vijay fan. I think in the grand scheme of things, when you're looking at it from a box office perspective, I think it was outdated. The movies that came were outdated. I think the cinema audience was trending towards a little bit more of like a new age with the Karthis and the Jivas. They were doing different type of movies. Cole came out in that same period.
Yeah. Different.
Varnamayaram was like,
oh yeah. Well, I think it was the golden era of Surya.
That was.
Oh, yeah.
2008
of
and
course.
2009, I would think, because he had Varnamayaram and Ayan actually back to back.
Yeah, Ayan.
And then there was one more that he did, Adavan, like that also.
Yeah, Adavan.
Adavan also after Ayan, yeah.
Yeah, they had Subramanipuram. That from.
Actually, I want to say a little after, so let's say 2009 to maybe 2015, there was a rise in, I guess, movies about the small town.
Yes.
Small town people. So I feel like their representation, this started. So that was the main shift that we were seeing that I really liked. I liked seeing that.
But speaking of that era, I don't know. I just felt like 2010, like that year in general, was like a very kind of dull period for Tamil movies. I don't know if that was based because it was tainted by Sura or.
No, I think.
What other movies came out in 2010?
Actually, 2010 was really good because
I think came out in 2010.
Endiran came out in 2010, but I meant like the first half of 2010.
Yeah, because Vijay and Ajit gave flops, like they gave Asal and Sura.
Yeah,
I think like it was just that was the end of like that old Vijay Ajit, like what they built their careers on to that point. That formula wasn't working anymore, and they had to go rediscover themselves. So they each had to go back to like the works. I mean, like Ajit really, I mean, like, he had a good hit with Billa, but didn't really come back until that GVM movie.
No, it's Mangata.
Mangata was a hit. Yeah, Mangata was a hit.
Yeah.
Big hit. Yeah.
Big hit.
One thing I think about like before getting into the 2010s when it comes to like all of the Tamil filmography, like during the 2000s, even like Telugu movies and all South Indian movies, they had this sort of like style to them in the 2000s. Like I don't know if it was the camera quality. I mean, I think the cameras, they were all like filmed on actual film rather than like digital like they do now. But I don't know if it was the camera quality or the color grading or something, but they all had this like style to them, right? And like this also this not just that, but even the editing, like in a lot of movies, you might see like when they jump to something, they have like white flashes or something to cut through scenes. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
The transition?
The transitions, yeah. They have like these white flashes where they zoom out and then they zoom in and they use like white flashes in between the shots or something like that. But anyways, they all have their like unique sort of transition styles and editing and camera quality and stuff like that. that just wasn't probably like modern enough as well.
One point that I want to add in between, you said a lot about camera quality. I would also add about visual effects. Like,
Mm.
I would say, like, Alagay Tamamagan, when they had scenes between two Vijays, the quality wasn't up to that, to be honest. Even similar problem in Kuruvi, Villu. Like, I felt that quality wise, the film was undermined a lot.
Yeah, the
Oh,
technicians.
yeah.
From a technical standpoint, the industry had moved forward. I think we saw that a little bit in Billa, the way Billa was shot, and so forth. And I think Vijay just didn't work with the right technicians either. From a music standpoint, yeah, he had hits in that flop period, but then I think the people who were peaking at that time were like the Yuvan Shankar Rajas and so forth, and like his movies did not feature them. So he like almost like everything around it ended up being not mainstream. I think mainstream shifted away from him and he didn't catch up. And it took him a minute to catch up. But that's a good point. Technical aspect is a great point.
Yeah, that's the key point. Also, like you both brought up, like from some of those movies in the late 2000s, we only see the memes. We see the Surah meme of him, coming out the water like Aquaman, or people who are non-Tamil will also just take the fact that like in Kuruvi, like he was racing the car and he had to do stuff that he couldn't even do with the car to make it drive, and then it flew over the finish line. Like those things added to the parts that were like not believable.
Oh, Vijay Fly, yeah.
Motamari epic too.
Yeah, so those technical things,
Even like in Kuruvi, they put him down in the lift. How does he end up in the sea?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
Even in
Yeah.
Villu, in the climax, when they put him like in the sand.
In the sense, yeah.
And he's fighting outside a plane.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I think that like from Tirumala to Pokkiri, like he had in a small time he had different kind of characters that made it like his character like that he had different characters and that you didn't saw him. And after Pokkiri, I think that he thought like, okay, now I know kind of what my fans likes. So based on that, he chose a lot of different different movies, I believe. But at the same time, like Alagi Tammagan, like I think if that is a good concept, but there's also in a wrong time and for wrong audience, because in that time I feel like that the audience was not prepared for a movie like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. Way ahead of time.
Yes, because like it is a good idea. It has a good plot. It has a lot of twists. But at that time, like I think the audience just didn't like got the point of it, because if the movie was like in 2010 or something, I think a lot of people would have got like, oh my god, this is a nice news kind of idea for a movie.
I think at a certain point he plays it safe and he thinks like it's like the same movie, like the hero sees the problem and helps his family. That's actually the concept what he did for a few years, but like different names and different stories. And I think he thought it will be good, but I feel like cinema kind of changed, like in a modern way. When Varna Mayra came and when Surya was coming up, he made in that time kind of modern movies, I think, like The Drug Deal in Iron and some movies of him. Like Vijay is kind of stuck with his same old concept.
Yeah.
And that's why the audience kind of think, because that's what I thought. Like it felt the same thing, but in different kind of fronts.
So Vijay came back afterwards. He did Kavalan and Velaidam.
Yes.
And both films, they were reasonably well received. But the real comeback happened with Nanban and Tupaki. So how do you see him coming back to the industry much stronger and also in the box office? Because he saw a big drop, a big low in his career from 2007 to 2010. Most of the people who gives back-to-back flops, they actually vanish from the industry, but he was able to come back. So how do you see that?
So I think like with Nanban, it was a guaranteed success just because it's a remake of Three Idiots, and I actually watched Three Idiots the year before Nanban. Like Three Idiots was a success, right? I don't know if was it a worldwide success or was it just
was picking up. It was a sensation back in the time.
Yeah, it was a sensation. So, I think like Nanban was a given that it would work, and I was excited to see Vijay playing a role like that. So that was good. And then, but I think the movie that had hype was definitely Tupaki. Like I remember I saw the posters for that, everything. I was like, oh my god, are we getting a spy thriller? Are we? I remember also at the time, 007. I think it was Skyfall came out that year as well. And I was like, oh my god, are we gonna get something like Skyfall or something like that? And it was a good like spy thriller, right? Or not spy thriller,
action thriller.
Action thriller. And I think like Tupaki was also like really not just necessarily story wise, but even if you like I talked about those filmmaking things, it didn't have that 2000s era like camera quality, editing, and VFX. Like it felt fresh. It felt like a new step or a step in the right direction in terms of those as well, right? Even the action choreography, everything was believable, and I think A.R. Murugadoss gave it his all, and as well.
It was a solid product.
It was a solid product. Even though I had to watch that in 240p, it was a solid product. So I think like Tupaki gave him like a fresh start for his fresh like restart, like a soft reboot for his career.
I had to disagree with the Nanban thing where you're saying that it was a given success. I think it was actually the opposite. At the time that they announced it, I was actually very skeptical and I was actually very scared because
Interesting.
Like he's done remakes before, but he's done remakes of regional films, right? He had made remakes of Telugu films, and then like of course Kavlan was a Malayalam film, where like the movie stayed within that one industry, within that one market. When he took on Three Idiots, it had become a movie that almost everyone in India had seen at that time. And it was done by Amir Khan, and it was done shortly after Three Idiots came out, within like 2 years or so. So first of all, I thought it was too quick. I thought it was a movie that people can draw direct comparisons to, because most of the people who would go and watch Three Idiots, Nanban would have watched Three Idiots too. And also, like, I felt like it. So I said it 2 years in already. So I actually thought it was a big risk. I think it was out of his domain. It's a movie where I was hoping that Shankar didn't like add an extra action scene or fight scene that's more adaptable to a Tamil audience, which tends to happen. They kept it the way it's supposed to be, and coming from the type of movies that he had done to go full-fledged, this is like 180-degree turn for him right after the movies that he had just finished. So I was actually skeptical. I was actually worried about Nanban, and then it was very refreshing to see that Vijay. This is a very docile, like very funny, very but then that fearful, like that body language. He made a huge body language change, like shoulders down, like bent over, like nervous, or not nervous, but then a shy, timid, but then still
Yeah, he was smart, way smarter than before.
And that goes on Tupaki too. I think that year, 2012, both the movies he did were more cerebral movies than physical action movies. Even if Tupaki is an action thriller, it's not a lot of of course they had that climax fight where he does a call out to like the Ghilli leg thing and all that stuff and everything. They have a physical fight in the end, but it's more of like mind games between the villain and Vijay, and he carry out this phone conversation and stuff. So it was a transition from like that physical, like hey, ooh, to like a more cerebral, like
Yeah.
So
Actually, sorry. Now that I think about it, does Tupaki have a punch dialogue or no?
No, it doesn't have any loud
Wait, is it
dialogues.
just I'm waiting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's not really a punch dialogue. It's a
Yeah.
statement.
I really punch. That's it.
okay.
Yeah.
With the I was just gonna say with the I'm waiting. I know that was like a sensation at that time. For me, I think it's just because it was like 3 simple words. It didn't quite click to me, but I just like every time they used it afterwards, I just got that it was a reference, but I remember like it just didn't really hit. Like I don't know, for me personally, but I'm waiting.
Part of that dialogue is also that there's a movie called Taken, and
Yeah.
Liam Nielsen says it, and I was in Chennai when like Tupaki came out, and Taken was a big hit there. So the line that the villain says in Tupaki is actually what Liam Neeson says in Taken. He says, "I don't know who you are, but I'm going to find you, kill you." Right? So the villain says the same dialogue, and Vijay just casually is like, "I'm waiting," because like that in that movie, it's supposed to be this intimidating thing, right? So it's like almost like people relate to it, and this guy just casually is like, "Okay, bring it on," like I'm waiting. And in his whole movie, he's always that same guy. He doesn't get too high, he doesn't get too low. He's like, bring it on, and like there's one of my favorite parts of Vijay's career is like this 3-scene segment that comes into Tupaki. So he is like Kajal comes and like proposes her love to him, and he has a humor there where like he's like, "Nee thanni adipingla, ayyo thanni adi, nee dam adipingla." Like, "Ayyo enakku ponnunga dam achana pidikum," and the way he teases her, and then he goes and he meets his friend, and then his friend like he like casually like mess with this guy. This guy's getting all worked up, and he's talking about how like he finds out about the plan. He's like, "Would you be தெரியும் terrorist சொன்னா terrorist எப்ப சொன்னா என் வீட்டுல சொன்னா," like that whole thing, like casual. And then they go to the coffee shop. You leave halfway while talking to a friend. He's like, "Suspense உனக்கு பிடிக்காதுன்னு சொல்லிட்டு." He goes to a coffee shop, and there he meets Jayram, right? And then that humor is all physical humor, how he's reacting to Jayram. So like that transition of like the different skill sets of his humor ability is displayed over like a 10-minute period in a movie, and it's just exceptional. Like I would say, from a humor standpoint, like if you enjoy Vijay's humor, that's one of the best 10 minutes of his career.
Yeah. I'd say the screenplay was well written.
Yeah.
In that, yeah.
More kudos is to the editor.
Oh yes, the 12-man shoot scene was fantastic.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I remember
yeah.
one of those,
man.
he said in an interview saying that I think he wanted to like do some lot of cutting, and then the editor said, no, we need him to think. The audience needs to get the feel. And then I saw the editor's interview about the 12-man shoot. He said, yeah, it was very tough because at the end of the day, he got like 12, 14 hours of footage. And then he had to like
trim it down. My God.
Yeah.
That's
like,
fantastic.
I know. Even till now, when I still watch it, like I won't skip it. From the moment they follow the guy till the shootout, it's engaging.
I think it's really well choreographed as well. Like it's well planned and well made as a sequence itself. It's refreshing, like many of you guys said. I think Tupaki was image makeover for Vijay. It's also a change for him because even though he did Kavalan Bela Idam Nanban, Tupaki was a film that completely shifted him from what he was known for. Like he didn't spoke big punch dialogues, loud dialogues, or confrontation scene between the villain. Even the villain plays with his mind. So those kind of things, I think they were refreshing for the audience.
Yeah, I also think like you said, it was a new like chapter. Like I feel like also the style and fashion in Tamil Nadu and all over like South Asia was changing at the time. So they used to wear like the oversized pants, the shirts that were like open button. Now he was coming in more like formals or more like he's a spy or like James Bond look. He's got the hair actually trimmed up. He's got a beard that people like. People probably wanted his look, and they liked these suits that he was wearing. And I still feel like, yeah, very fit. And he also had like, I think it was still the same mask like formula, but it worked for like the new age because he transitioned to like the new age technology, like a new age style, like, spy film. And then he had like the new age, like the trendy outfits and stuff. But it still had all the elements that he used to have. Like he was still comedic, a little bit with Kajol, of course, Jadam and the comedian. He still had, the flirting with Kajol a lot too. And it was still serious. So he had like the main core elements that made him a mass hero. He just transitioned from being maybe a local boy or like, a more village atmosphere to more like, modern day, like, spy with some more modern day outfits. But it had the same formula as like previous films. It just like, it changed with the times. And I feel like Nanbin and also Kovlin kind of help with that too, with his more modern day looks. And those two films are probably like the two that I would say like that got away from like the mass masala that he's known for.
Yeah.
And it was similar to Sachin and also similar to like Sachin and the other one with Jolika and stuff, yeah.
Kushi, yeah.
It was very similar to that. Yeah, Kushi and stuff. But yeah, I think Tupaki definitely was the one. He just changed his direction.
It's a strategic movie, right? So like, there's a part where Vijay actually says, in all the things that we did, in year நம்ம வந்து ஒரு clue விட்டுப்போம். அந்த clue கண்டுபிடிச்சு அவன் வந்து நம்ம தேடி வருவான். அவன் தேடி வரதுக்கு முன்னாடி நம்ம அந்த clue என்னன்னு தந்து we have to figure out.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they figure out the wedding. Because these guys are in coat suits, so they go back. The villains go back and they find out like what and all suit code, like formal events happen on a day. They figure out the wedding and so forth, and then like so they find the right thing, and then like Vijay is like romancing with Kajol and he's about to kiss her, and when he's about to kiss her, he remembers like the kiss from the wedding, and he's like, "Oh, that's how they're gonna come find me." So there's a lot of like what you call strategic, cerebral, like script writing, and like it's not about raw, brute, like physical strength. It's about his mental, and he carried that role. He proved that he can do that type of too. He doesn't have to go scream at villains like you guys said, or like fight like a local club. He can do this.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
so in a way,
something I want to say earlier. I think the Johan thing he would have done if the Johan offer came after Tupaki. I think Tupaki changed the trajectory of his career. I think the timing of the Johan thing was also amazing. I want to say that, but I want to wait till this moment when we're talking about Tupaki. But
yeah.
I personally feel that it was Kajol who was the main pillar. Because if she didn't take the key, would he have stopped Sleeper Cells and this whole kissing portion? I would say Kajol is the real hero. He's the real hero.
Yeah. So that concludes the part 2 of this roundtable. I hope you all enjoyed so much watching all of us speak about Thalapathy Vijay. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see in part 3.